Welcome to What to Do When, a podcast for when you're feeling a little lost, low, or lonely in life. This is a space for honest conversations about just how damn terrifying, messy, and confusing life can be. Figuring out who you are, healing your wounds, finding the right partner, building an amazing career, it's a lot. We're going to open up, unpack, and normalize all the big, complicated emotions and struggles in life. The anxiety, the self-doubt, the overwhelm, and the other spirals it's so easy to fall into. Because I find that the more that we open up and get real, the more we can learn, and the less pressure that we feel to have it all figured out and to be perfect all of the time. And this is the sweet spot where healing happens. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome back, my friends. Peep the new little podcast intro for anyone that's been around for a wee while. I've been hovering on this new intro for a while now, and I finally sat down and got into it and had the creative juices, the energy and the capacity to explore a new era of the podcast in 2025 and what I want it to look and to feel like. And the main essence, which the podcast has always been, has been a tool or a pathway to help each of us feel less alone in the struggles that we have in life. And I continue to see it with friends, with clients, with family members, with people I work with. But the reality is that connection within our emotional struggles is such a key to healing and to developing emotional resilience and rebuilding or refinding that sense of self-worth and self-esteem. I think the most dangerous thing is when your brain tricks you into believing that you're alone in that struggle and that nobody else ever would face something as stupid or menial as the thoughts that are inside your own head. And I remember thinking, I still think that to this day, but I remember thinking it about so many things. And I'm going to give you a great example about what we're talking about today. But I remember thinking it about my anxiety, about not wanting to leave the house, about being terrified to be too far from a bathroom when I was really in my chronic IBS stage of life, and all those sorts of thoughts. And it was just horrific. But I remember thinking, nobody has ever felt more embarrassed or ashamed about thinking this than I have. Nobody struggles with this. And one of the huge pieces and parts of healing my IBS and of getting my bowels back in order was opening up to people about that, about all of the wild thoughts that I had in my head and all the anxious, intrusive thoughts that I had in my head about the bathroom, and talking to people about it. And so many people, it was the best thing ever, because so many people came up and told me their story of like almost shitting their pants or something like this, and we would bond over our shared sort of loneliness and isolation and shame about something so taboo. I've had the same experience with talking about sexual assault, talking about eating disorders, talking about anxiety and other forms of intrusive thoughts. I've had that same experience, and I've also now recently had it just about life in general and getting, closer to turning 30 and not knowing what you're doing with your life and having spirals and meltdowns. And I think it's just so healing. There's no other way to say it, but it's just so healing to realize that you're not alone in this. And yeah, that's the new era that the podcast is, I think I'd say, coming back to. So thank you for being here. And if you've been here for a while, I'm really excited to be back with you. And I can't wait to, be here with you in 2025 and go along with you on this freaking crazy journey that we call life. And today I want to talk about something really special and really, really funny. Do you ever have those moments where you think that the universe is just having a laugh? Like the universe is just going, you know what, I'm going to have a little giggle here and I'm going to just put something so obviously out there that it's just humorous. It's just extremely humorous. And this happened to me this week. And so today's little chat that I want to talk about with you, and I really do invite you to ponder as well, like, what does this mean for you? Where is this showing up for you as well? And what challenges do you have about this topic? But It's about leaving the past in the past. And this last week, I had not one, not two, but three people from my past, romantic people from my past, make their way back into my life in some way, shape, or form. Just pop their little head up. And I had such a laugh about it. I could not believe that it all sort of came within that 1 week period. And I thought it was really funny. When the third person sent me a message, I was just in tears, like, oh, come on, are you for real? And I sat there with myself and I asked myself, what is this about? Like, what is going on here? And I want to share. We all know the struggle of going back to the wrong person. Most of us know the struggle of knowing that something or someone, and it doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't even have to be romantic, but it could be romantic. It could be a friend. It could be a job. It could be an old habit that you fall into. But the sort of thing where a part of you wants to go back. A part of you wants to go back, and another part of you doesn't. It knows that it's not good for you. And for me, this really showed up this week with these past people entering or just reappearing in life again. And I really struggled. I really practiced asking for support and deep vulnerability and asking for help. I phoned a friend many times, and bless them for having multiple really great conversations with me. But I found it really hard to not go back into past patterns, to not go back to the wrong person, to not allow myself to take those steps backwards. And there was a part of me that really, really, really wanted to. And there was a part of me that was kind of going, oh, just fuck it, just do it. Just, send a message or do this or do that. And there was equally also this other voice and part of me that was saying, like, Kathleen, come on, like, we've been here, we've done that. It's, these things are in the past for a reason. Like, you're allowed to move forward. And as I was going through this and digesting the information and sort of thinking about what's going on here, like, let's unpack this experience, right? Let's unpack what's going on here and why this comes up. Why? And it's really classic. The more people I've spoken to about it, it's really classic that when you are in a good place or you're about to move on or you finally feel like you've let go of something in the past, that's when they'll get you. That's when they'll just go, hey, or something will pop up or something within your past will pop up again. And again, this happened to me in so many ways. Romantic, friendships, jobs, so many ways. And I just think it's fascinating. But let's unpack what to do when the past rears its head and tries to sort of suck you back in. There's a few ways that we can look at this, but I want to just share some ways that maybe you could look at this for yourself. And one of the ways that you can look at this, and one of the ways that I did look at it, but also had to do some work around it too, is that it is a universal test. And if you have studied manifestation or if you're into manifesting at all, you'll know about universal tests, right? But it's pretty clear, I think, when past opportunities come up again, it's pretty clear that you are normally on the precipice of something new, of being in some new stage of life. And this is usually a little final question mark of, are you ready, willing, and capable of moving forward? Do you want to move forward into something new? You're saying that you want one thing, and for me, I am in a place now where I really know the type of romantic relationship that I want to entertain in my life. And it is real and it is solid, and it was with someone that's emotionally available and ready for this and wants a future and a family and who has similar values to me. And I know what I want now. And I've spent the last year dating and exploring things with people to really actually ground in and discover that. And it happened so many times where I essentially had like mirrors or mimickings of past relationships come up with new people that I was dating. And I had to really get clear with myself over and over and over again to say, like, no, I don't want this. This is actually what I want. This is actually what I'm ready to boldly ask for, but also to hold myself to higher standards around. And that is, I cannot tell you how effing difficult it has been not to slide right back into bed, if I'm being super honest, to slide right back into bed or conversations with people who I know feel good in the moment, but do not want what I want. They don't. They either they don't or they aren't capable. We want different things. And it has been so freaking difficult to get to this place now. And this has been going on for the last year, by the way, to get to this place now where I've seen the tests come in and I've really had to do something different. And a huge part of this for me has been about asking for support. And if you are or you resonate with being Miss Independent, you will know exactly how hard this is, because you're a type of person like me who likes to believe that they can figure things out on their own and that they should be able to figure things out on their own. And there's a lot of shame that can come with letting yourself down. And if I'm honest, there has been moments over the last year where I have let myself down a little bit. I have let my standards waver a little bit, just for a second, but still it has been exactly what I've needed to ensure that I get the support to make different choices, to know that we aren't meant to do this alone. And my little Miss Independent part of me, I have to remind them of that constantly, because it's a trait and a habit and a behavior of mine that doesn't serve me. It doesn't do me well. And if it's something that you resonate with as well, I really ask you, like, where does it show up in your life? Where is it helping you and where is it not? Miss Independent part helps me in so many ways, but when it comes to change and relationships, which is an area of life that I've personally struggled with, it doesn't. And so a huge part of this has been asking for help. When the past comes up, asking for help, setting yourself up for success, making commitments and making promises. And it's been awesome. And I feel so lucky to have set up my life to have those people in it. But I also feel really proud that I did that stuff, that I got a little bit uncomfortable, that I got a little bit vulnerable about what was really going on in my head, about what was real and true for me and what was happening. And it was really scary and it was really hard. There's no easy way to say that. I wish it was easy, but for me, it personally wasn't. And so when the past comes back up again and you want to be able to leave the past in the past, sometimes you can see it as a universal test. You can see it as an opportunity for you to experience this differently and to essentially heal. And as I was making notes for this episode, I jotted down the 5 key things that I think are really helpful to go through and to have when doing this differently, when making a different choice. Because I know that you're here not to repeat the past. I know that you're here to welcome in the new, and that you likely want different things than what you have had in the past. You want maybe a different type of relationship, you want a different type of career, you want to honor yourself, you want to feel good in your body, you want to be kind to yourself, you want to do things that light you up. And maybe in the past, like me, you haven't done a lot of those things. Maybe you have been with people who haven't really been very good for you and you've just kind of let it be okay. Maybe you've gone down a career path that you just went down because you kind of people pleased your way into it and you were good at it and people said you were good at it and other people approved of it, so you did it. Maybe you started living a type of life that looked good to other people but wasn't really what you wanted. Or maybe you kept things hidden and you kept yourself in a little cycle of self-shame. And now you're at a point where you want to do things differently. And so maybe you've had the past come up again. Maybe you've had 3 in 1 week like I just had, or maybe you've had it in a different way, or maybe you're going to have it. But I do think it is a really funny thing that does happen. And the more conversations I've had with people about it, the more people have told me their own little stories. And so let's run through the 5 things that you can walk yourself through and equip yourself with to be able to experience this differently and to heal, to use this experience of the past coming up to heal. So number 1 from my notes was unshaming your past self. There are no wrong decisions here, and this isn't a pass or fail. That is the only thing I don't like about the language of a universal test, is it kind of insinuates that there's a right and a wrong, that there's a pass and a fail. It can easily send you into that all or nothing frame of thinking where you either make the right decision or you make the wrong decision and you're a loser. And that is a spiral that I found myself going through when I kept having those thoughts of wanting to go back to people, of wanting to just jump right back into the past, because it's easier to jump into the past than it is to actually be brave and step into the future and create new opportunities. It really is to your brain. Your brain craves comfort and what is known, and that is what is in your past. And it's often why it comes up again, and it's why it's so difficult to sometimes move forward. But this first piece of the puzzle is about unshaming your past self. And I touched briefly on some of the shame that I felt and still sometimes feel about some of my past decisions as early as like 6 months ago, or as early as, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. There's definitely some shame that I hold over some decisions that I have made. And part of this process has beautifully been supporting those past versions of myself and letting them know that there is no right or wrong, and this isn't a pass or fail, and they didn't fail in the past. I don't hate them. I don't hate these parts of me. And I have respect for the past versions of me, even though the decisions didn't land me in the greatest of places. They got me here. And it's really easy to go down the path of hating on your past self and shaming them and going, I wish I would have done things differently. But that past version of you is a part of you that lives with you today. And they were doing the best with what they could at the time. And I think it's really important for both me and you here, if we're in this together, which I hope we are, to acknowledge those past parts of you and of me and to support them rather than shame them. To go through that process of unshaming anything that they're carrying, of giving them acceptance and love and letting them know that it's okay. Maybe it's letting you know that you forgive them. There is a great exercise or practice that you can do, which is a self-forgiveness practice, and I'm going to share it in the show notes, a guided practice to do this. I think it's about 5 to 10 minutes, but it's a beautiful practice to go through, and it's something that I would encourage you to do and to experience if this is resonating, if this is something you're going, oh yeah, I made some really questionable decisions in my past and I don't feel too good about them. Because that is also something that's going to stop you from moving forward. Because the only way that you're going to be able to move forward and make new decisions is if all of the past parts of you are on board, if they all feel seen and loved and heard. That's how you make it easy. And this is a way you can do it. The second thing is unpacking your past decisions. Looking at what decisions did you make in the past that you have felt shame over, and what was going on for that part of you? What needs were you trying to get met? Where were you trying to get to with it? Because you're not stupid. There was a reason that you did what you did. There really, really was. There was a part of you that thought, I'll go down this road, and I think that this makes sense. But it was likely coming from the past or coming from a wounded part of you. And it's really important for you to know why you're engaging in some of that stuff, and maybe why, like when I was in this moment this week where I felt those parts of me just wanting to go back to, frankly, all the wrong people, I had to get clear on, why did I make those decisions in the past? What was I trying to achieve there? And for me, if I can share with you, it was about feeling less alone. It was about getting comfort. It was about sort of putting a Band-Aid over the fact that I am worried and get scared of ending up alone. It was about comfort and being with people in the past. Heck, I can think of so many people, especially in my early 20s, that I was with to just put a little Band-Aid over that wound of feeling lonely and alone. And I get it. And I have huge compassion and understanding of why I made those decisions. And so it does make sense that I would want to do some of those things again. And so that's what unpacking your past decisions is. Giving yourself grace and compassion and understanding, making sure you know exactly what you were trying to do and achieve. Because if you don't know, you won't be able to do that step one of unshaming yourself, of really meeting that part of you. Number 3, which tacks on from here, is exploring those unmet needs, those wants, and those desires. And there's always going to be so many of these, right? For me, this is about the feeling of loneliness, the fear of ending up alone, the fear of not having a family and children, the fear of, that discomfort that being single, entering my 30s and being single is something that, I'm 29 right now, and I do have this little, call it a knowing, but I do have this sort of knowing that I think I need to be single at 30 to experience it, because it's kind of a big fear of mine, and I think it's probably going to be really uncomfortable, but I think it's also going to be really important. And there's all of these unmet needs that happen in that space for me around loneliness. And it's learning to create family wherever I am. It's learning to be more connected to the people around me. It's learning to ask for support. It's learning to go in for the damn hug. That is something that has been so huge recently. I live alone and I'm single. And I was thinking about this the other day, about how often I will go without a hug. And it's something that there were studies done on it back in the day, I'm sure, about, I remember someone telling me, I want to say 7, don't quote me on that, but I want to say something like 7 hugs a day or something to be emotionally well. And I'm not getting 7 hugs a day. And giving myself giving self hugs and supporting myself physically has been huge. But another one of those things, an action item for me, is just hugging people in real life and not feeling weak or ashamed that I'm asking for a hug, and realizing it's such a big, beautiful part of life. But step 3 in this is exploring those unmet needs, and then also exploring your wants and your desires. So if you are feeling the past come up again, it's a great opportunity for you to check in with, what do I actually want? What do I actually desire? Really getting regrounded in that vision for your future, and getting real truthful, getting real honest with yourself about what lines up and what doesn't. Number 4 is getting support from the right people. And the reality is, there are people in your life that you can go to who may encourage you to make all the wrong decisions. That's just true. There are going to be people out there who, who say, oh, do it for the drama, do it for the goss, and there are people in your life who will challenge you. And this is and again, no one is right or wrong. We love all those people. But this is a point in your life where you need to ask yourself, okay, what do I need here right now? I need to be honest with people, and I need to tell them what I really want, and I need to ask them to hold me accountable. And I need to get support from people who can do this, who are capable and have capacity to do this. And that's huge. Really thinking about who you go to for this type of support and this type of accountability, to not make and repeat decisions from your past, to unlearn old patterns, to finally leave that person in the past, to actually move forward. Who is going to give you that support in your life and actually give it to you? Give you, whether you need a little bit of tough love along with a little holding hand, whether you need pure tough love, whether you need someone to really get clear with you. What is it that you need, and who are those people in your life that you can go to? Go to the right people and get some damn support. Open up, get vulnerable, be honest about all the random parts of you that have a voice. One part that says, oh, I want to do it again, or one part that says, no, we should not. Get honest about those parts. Get support and get accountability. I actually said to my mum about another past experience that has reared up again. I actually made my promise to my mum, and I asked her for support and accountability. I said to her, please, I know that this is probably going to come up again, and I am really asking for accountability here. Don't let me go back. Don't let me go back and re-sign with this thing, because I know that it's not actually what's best for me, but I do know it's a little bit of what's in my comfort zone. And so I'm here and I'm making this commitment out loud to you so that you can support me and you can encourage me and you can motivate me to make that decision that's actually right and true for me, rather than repeating the past. And that was a scary thing to do, because it meant that I said it to someone, so I had to have that accountability. And reality is that we actually all need external accountability to make change. And this is why having great relationships with the people in your life, and having great relationships with people like therapists, coaches, counselors, to support you in making decisions that are right and true for you, and having those really good, solid relationships where they're kind and they're loving, but they're also equally challenging, I think it's really important. And step 5, the last one, to leave the past in the past, is to empower yourself to make a new decision. How do you feel most empowered? When do you feel most empowered? What do you need to be doing to get yourself in an empowered state? I noticed whenever I was watching Love Island and having a binge on the couch, eating a packet of chips, rewatching Love Island, I wanted to make the decision to jump back into the past. I was very much in that fuck it mindset, and just do it. Just be curious, just go, And that wasn't a really helpful space for me to be in. But I noticed it came up a couple of times, and I went, okay, that is not a very empowered place to be. And I got myself up off the couch and I went for a run, because I'm a runner now. If you didn't know that, I'm a runner, she says sarcastically. But I got up off the couch and I went for a run. And something that I love about any form of exercise for me, and again, this might not be the same for you, there's no shame there, but for me, after exercise, I feel like I can take on the fucking world. I do genuinely feel like one of the best versions of myself, one of the most, not best, I feel like I have the most capacity, and I genuinely just feel happy. I get that rush of endorphins, and when I'm feeling that, I'm not feeling some of the big loneliness, and I have more capacity to go, actually, you know what? I'm going to put trust in the universe and in myself. I'm going to be courageous and brave and decide to jump into the future and jump into new things rather than repeating what I've already been through. And there is something to that. So how do you feel most empowered? What are you doing? Who do you surround yourself with to feel empowered to make bold decisions? Like if you knew that you needed to make the most courageous decision of your life, what environment would you set yourself up in? Where would you be? What would you be doing? Who would be with you? It's really good to know these things about yourself, because then you can change your state. You can experience things differently. So those are my 5 things that I wanted to share with you about leaving the past in the past. And I also want to really, really land on this point that there is no shame in repeating the past either. I have done it many a time, let me tell you, and I'm sure I'm going to do it again. It's okay, and it's part of being human. But what I don't want for you, I don't want you to hide it. I don't want you to feel super ashamed of it. I want you to feel less alone in that. Just like I already, just speaking about it now here on this podcast, I already feel less alone in it. And I really hope that for you too. And I hope that you open up, even if it's just to yourself, and you ask yourself some of these tough questions that we've shared in this podcast. And I hope that you do the self-forgiveness practice that I'm going to put in the notes. So it's awesome to be back in your ears, and I would love to hear your stories of the past coming back to haunt you. I've already had a few from people being zombied, which if you did not know the dating lingo, a zombie is someone who has ghosted you and then come back to life. I absolutely love the lingo, and I can't wait to hear your stories of how the past is coming back up, and what you're going to be doing about it, what you're going to be doing differently, and how you can honor yourself more. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed that, and I'm really excited to be back here with you for 2025, and I hope you're doing well. I will see you really soon, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. And don't forget that this practice that I'm talking about self-forgiveness will be in the show notes.